Adam, we talked to obviously just about boomers and millennials. That brings us, I think, to the next discussion point, and that is boomer travel and what we're likely to see over the next couple of years in that market, and it's obviously its impact on the hospitality industry.
The aging of the boomers is the trend of all trends. It is influencing the world in so many ways, both obvious and non-obvious. So right now, what we're seeing is the boomers have the wealth, and simultaneously they're entering retirement. And I say that in quotations because the idea of retirement is changing as well, where it's not hard set at 65 anymore. People, they enter retirement for a few years and they're like, yeah, I'm bored. I want to do something else. I want to give meaning to my life. Yep. So if you think about what that term meaning can be, it can be a post-retirement emeritus involvement. They might decide to go back into part-time employment. It could also mean things like volunteerism, where they're visiting hotels around the world and volunteering while they go as an experience, or volunteering their time with a local high school. It really is an incredible thing we're witnessing. Also, as boomers get old, they don't really have the energy for putting up with the agony of travel. So you think about what's involved with visiting multiple cities, multiple hotels. So you book airfare, then you book one hotel, then you got to figure out transportation to that next city, be it planes, trains, automobiles. Then you got to book that second hotel, then more planes, trains, automobiles. So you see where this is going, where as boomers get older, they want more convenience, as we said, but they still want to maintain that luxury. Filling that void are cruise lines, where we're already seeing a huge growth, and it's going to keep growing as boomers take advantage of the convenience of only unpacking once at their room, be it a hotel room on land or a hotel room on water. So that's something that hotels really have to watch out for, is that how are you judging your competition? And 10 years ago, you had your comp set, which was the hotel across the street. 5 years ago, we started to call it the accommodation industry, and we were pulling demand data from hotels as well as alternate accommodations, all the Airbnb units out there. Now we've got to start looking at what ships are coming into the port of call. And that is a very big trend. Also on the labor side with boomers is you talk about retirement, and one of the whole things with hospitality is we have so many great hoteliers, great executives, managers who have entered or are approaching retirement. And hotels have to think about the succession planning. Who's going to come in and take on the leadership and at day one already be up to speed, so there's no loss in operational bandwidth. And that's a big thing, particularly because the boomers are a large generation and there may not be as many people to draw on. So again, going back to clear and present technology, is the new person who steps in, if they're too busy doing the paperwork, like just signing and reviewing a small order accounts payable all day, instead of automating that, they're going to be too busy to get fully caught up and really take those new initiatives forward. So we got to automate in order to prepare for the retirement of the boomers. And concurrently, on the other end of retirement, we have what's called end stage diseases, which are the Alzheimer's, the Parkinson's, the dementia, all that stuff. And as we get older, one thing that is happening is medicine is progressing as well. So we have ways of correcting all the stuff that can kill you before the age of 65, be it heart attacks, early onset strokes. We can detect for that. A lot of illnesses, I don't want to say it's an absolute thing, but we're getting really good at solving all that, which leaves us with the stuff that starts affecting us after we hit 70, which is the end stage diseases. Problem with these is that they increase our dependence, where people who have these diseases become dependent either on their families or on paid for caregivers.
Yes.
And it's very important to discuss these two here. Number one is dependence on family members, which increases and can drive demand for multi-generational hotel packaging. So you think about that and you think, do you have accessible rooms in your hotels? How are you marketing them? How are you building adjoining rooms where you have an accessible room adjoined to somewhere else where the kids who are maybe are in their 40s or 30s can stay to take care and be with the dependent grandparent who is there with them?
Yep.
Similarly, the multi-generational packages work just as well for people traveling with young kids, and maybe they want a second room adjoining for their kids or whatever, but multi-generational travel is going to happen. The next side is the caregiver side, which is another problem on the labor front, because now you have what's a caregiver, which is, as we say, a high touch, low skill job that is a direct competitor for housekeeping jobs.
Yes.
So a housekeeper who's earning, let's say, $35 an hour, changing beds and cleaning rooms, now looks at it and goes, well, I can do this. I can change beds, which is very high physical exertion, or I can go around and clean bedpans and change an elderly dependent out of their clothes and get $90 an hour. So that can be potentially a further drain on labor for hotels. And it's something that people have to understand working in hotels, because this labor crisis is not going away ever.
Agree.
It is going to keep going and be a consummate topic for the next decade as the boomers enter retirement, they exit the workforce, and as they reach the point where end stage diseases set in which case they become dependents and drives demand for caregivers.
That's a couple of great points there, Adam. I can't think of a hotel I've ever seen that actually has, as you said, an accessible room adjoining to a normal room at all.
Yeah, I mean, opportunities for hotel conversions right there. We put forward an article a while back saying, what if you were to convert your hotel into extended stay, all accessible rooms? And that could be a great way to serve this emerging niche of the market. Or it doesn't necessarily need to be adjoining rooms. It could be you have attribute-based sales for an accessible room as part of a package, and then the other person who isn't a dependent can have a room nearby. Let's say. So there's ways to do it. Again, it all hinges on how your systems are built in order to allow for those packages to occur. The key thing right now is, again, process. You got to start thinking about these things. If you see an article tomorrow in the New York Times that talks about this, you have to have an internal company board where you can share it and say, read this, here's why it's important. What can we put on the roadmap for the next quarterly meeting to discuss and figure out a plan to capitalize on this opportunity or defend ourselves against competitors who are doing something in this regard?
Yeah, great points. Great points.